I remember how to film. I film all the time. It's fine. It's totally good. Hey guys, it's me, Caitland. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be here. I know I've been gone for a while. I do plan on making a little video addressing why I've been gone, what I've been up to and all that stuff, but that's not why I'm here today. Today I really just wanted to sit down and play in some makeup and talk to you guys about some stuff that's been on my mind. I really feel like that's where this channel is headed, man. I want to do my makeup and rant about some stuff. And today I want to talk a little bit about some issues that have come up recently in the beauty community. There's a lot of drama going around, maybe you've heard, involving our buddy James Charles, and I don't necessarily want to focus on the drama going on with him, but I do want to talk about some of the issues that I think are kind of arising from this drama and coming out of it that I think are really important, especially issues involving sexuality and how that ties into this, and the whole idea of this cancel culture that's really coming up on YouTube. So if you want to watch me do my makeup and chat about all this crazy stuff going on, then stick around. Alright, first things first, I want to prime using my Pores No More primer, and I don't want to focus too much, like I said, on all of this drama. If you want to know more about the drama that's going on in the beauty community, if you're kind of a nosy hoe like me and you want to stick your nose in all that, you can definitely read up on that all across the internet. But I do want to give you a quick catch up just so you have enough background to kind of understand what I do want to talk about in this video. If you're not familiar, James Charles is one of the most popular beauty YouTubers out there. He had about 16 million followers as of over a week ago. And I think it was a week ago today that Tati put out a video that really changed that situation. I'm gonna go ahead and be going in with my Born This Way foundation for my base today. As far as makeup goes, I'm really just gonna play around, maybe go with something a little summery and fresh to go with my yellowness, and that's about that. So Tati Westbrook is another extremely popular YouTuber here in the beauty community. One of my favorite YouTubers, honestly, and somebody that I've been following for a really long time, much longer than I've been following James Charles. Somebody I have actually a lot of respect for as far as the kind of content that she puts out and her dedication to that. But she is not necessarily someone to be involved in a lot of drama, and I was shocked when she released a video addressing a lot of things that have come up between her and James Charles. A lot of this drama kind of was centered around a betrayal, you might say. Tati owns a vitamin brand that she launched a little over a year ago, and James Charles recently endorsed a competing vitamin brand called Sugar Bear Hair that you may or may not have heard of, especially if you're on Instagram or you follow a Kardashian. You've probably heard of Sugar Bear Hair. So James Charles recently endorsed Sugar Bear Hair on his Instagram story, put out a little ad for them, supposedly in exchange for some kind of artist pass at Coachella because he felt like he was being mobbed and he needed the extra security, blah, blah, blah. So that kind of kicked all of this off. But one of the things that came up in Tati's video had nothing to do with that kind of betrayal of their friendship, and was much more about some behavior that he had been exhibiting that was really disturbing Tati on the side. She claimed that James was making a point of focusing all of his advances on straight men. She kind of insinuated that all of these men were not interested and that James was being too forward, pressuring them and trying to kind of force their sexuality in one way or another. The word predatory has come up. I don't believe she used that word, but that's been the word that's been thrown around since then, that he is some kind of sexual predator. And so a lot of people have been very upset by this, and there are multiple stories, multiple receipts, as you will, that are kind of backing this information. There was even a recent story that had come up about a boy that had gone with him to Coachella, And, you know, James called him out on Instagram as some kind of con artist. That was the terminology that he used about this guy. And when the truth kind of surfaced, all that had really happened was that he had been, you know, privately messaging with James Charles, ended up going to Coachella with him and all of his friends, and was seen, you know, being physical with him, touching him, cuddling him, even kissing him. And then, of course, once Coachella was over, kind of saying, you know what, I really think that I'm straight. And there's sides of the story that say, you know, that he was doing this to use James Charles. Of course, his side of the story is, I was bi-curious, I don't know, and I wanted to come out and try and see how I felt with you. And once I spent time with you, I enjoyed it, but I didn't really think it was for me, and that was that. Will we ever know the truth of that situation? No. Will we ever know the truth of any of these situations? Probably not. We weren't there, we weren't part of this experience, and I'll touch on that a little bit later in this video. I'm just going to go ahead and conceal now with my Hello Fab Bendy Avocado Concealer. Tati in her video specifically addressed another situation with a what she called a straight male at her own birthday dinner that James had attended. That there was a waiter there who said that he was straight, and James was making very strong advances toward him, making a lot of the people at her birthday dinner very uncomfortable. And Tati tried to address this in person at that time, and apparently James said something along the lines of, like, I'm a celebrity, so it doesn't matter if he's straight. So that in and of itself sounds pretty problematic. What came forward later was this waiter even came out with his own videos addressing the situation, and he ended up, you know, meeting James Charles at his hotel room after this and spending time with him. Told James that he was bi-curious, and was very upfront about that. And then they spent some time together, they cuddled, and this waiter side of the story is that they were kissing, and it seemed like a bit too much for him. He started to get uncomfortable, and he wanted to leave. James did not want him to leave, but he left eventually, and then they didn't necessarily part on the best of terms. This waiter even released the messages between the two of them, and they were a bit disturbing. There were messages about basically him saying, you know, I think that I'm straight, and James Charles straight up tells him, you're not straight. This I take a serious, you know, problem with. No one has any right to ever tell you what your sexuality is. And you are welcome to change your mind or your feelings about how you want to move forward physically with someone at any point. And they do not get to dictate to you what that says about your sexuality. They don't get to dictate to you what choices you're going to make with them in that moment based on things you've said in the past. Consent is in that moment. And if he decided he wasn't comfortable, that's fine. And that doesn't mean that he is for sure straight. That doesn't mean that that was not a valid experience. That doesn't mean that he isn't bi-curious. That doesn't mean that he's not bi. That doesn't mean that he's not gay. It just means that it's not for James Charles to decide, and it's not for us to decide whatsoever. I'm going to go on with some setting powder. This is the Pretty Vulgar Transparent. This is the Pretty Vulgar. I'm pretty sure I already have a blooper about this powder. Pretty Vulgar Translucent Setting Powder. So here's where my issues really start to jump out with James Charles' behavior, because James is very vocal about being attracted to straight men. He has lots of tweets, lots of videos on his YouTube channel where he openly admits that that is the kind of man that he is attracted to. But the problem here is when you are invalidating what these people feel about their own sexuality. When a man comes to you who, you know, calls himself straight to the world, maybe he's interested in exploring you as a friend, maybe he's even interested in exploring things further, like this waiter who's claiming to be bi-curious, or is bi-curious. I'm not trying to insinuate that he's not by saying claiming. You know, but the problem herein lies when James is trying to decide that he is going to determine what these people's sexuality is, and when he is going to have such a violent reaction when they do not consent to what he wants. There are multiple receipts, you know, proof of messages of him using really negative and threatening language toward these people who don't necessarily follow through with the physical things that he wants to partake in, and this is where the issue lies. But I think it's really dangerous to try and act like he is a predator, like some people are saying, because even Tati in her video, I understood where she was coming from, but I think she insinuated that he was forcing himself on a straight man, and this man was totally against it. And then this person himself comes forward and says, I went to this house and engaged in a level of physicality because I was curious about this situation. There was a level of interest there, and we don't get to decide whether or not a person is interested in another person. If they want to exchange numbers, if they want to talk, blah, blah, blah. A person saying that they're typically straight, that's between him and James Charles. I mean, Tati, you don't get to, you know, insert yourself there and say he's a predator for hitting on this person. But the line of consent is very important, and it's very clear. And the second somebody is not happy, it seems like James Charles has a pattern of kind of jumping down their throat, threatening to use his internet fans to kind of come after you, threatening legal action. I mean, to go on your Twitter and call somebody a con artist because things didn't work out in your favor when you have 16 million young followers who are on Twitter and ready to eviscerate somebody is wrong. Is he a sexual predator? I don't know. I want you guys to let me know what you think about all of this. All of this video is like, I don't have the answers. I want to know what other people feel about this, because there isn't really clear yeses and nos here, but consent is clear. And if someone's not going to consent to move forward with you, you need to respect that. Anything other than that is really unacceptable. All right, time to throw on some contour, and I'm going to be using this little Cover FX palette. It is an all over face palette. It has, you know, blushes, highlight, and this contour over here that I'm going to be using on my face today. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and I really like this contour shade. So aside from everything going on specifically with James Charles and his drama, a whole conversation kind of came out of this drama, which is the real inspiration for why I wanted to make this video. I saw this whole topic coming up on Twitter about bisexual men and being bi-curious, and there was this whole influx of people coming forward and saying that there is no such thing as a bi-curious man, that if a man is interested in or performs some kind of sexual or physical act with a man, then you are gay. So there's only one or the other. Either you are straight or you are gay. Or some people are saying either you are straight or you are bi, but there's no bi-curious. And the second that you want to explore that, then you're immediately on this other side. You are no longer straight. There's no in between there. And this is something that I take serious issue with. I mean, I was shocked reading some of these comments. Maybe I'm naive to think that people don't think that way, but I was really blown away that so many people agreed with this stance. And I have to say, just sitting there looking at the Twitter feeds and the people who are responding to this, that so many of the people jumping on this train are straight men. So where do you get off? First of all, where do you get off deciding this kind of thing? And I'm really shocked that people are still of a mind that sexuality could be such a black and white thing. I'm gonna bronze up now using this Maybelline City Bronzer over top of that. A little background for me. I myself identified as bisexual for all of my adult life, most of my life, from the time I was in middle school, but over the past few years now have identified myself as pansexual. And if you don't know what pansexuality is, I am attracted to all genders and gender identities. In fact, I don't really consider gender a factor whatsoever in whether I am sexually attracted to somebody. So that's kind of my personal lens that I look at sexuality through. But no matter how you identify, you have to understand that there are there's a vast world out there of sexual fluidity, of sexual experience, and it cannot be put in these teeny tiny boxes of gay, of straight, of bi. There, thankfully, are so many other ideas and terms to name these ideas that are coming to light, and I mean, I'm so grateful for that every day. Even though I spent so much of my life identifying as a bisexual person, it never truly felt like the right term for me. And over the past few years, as I began to hear these new terms coming forward and then I discovered the term of pansexuality, it was such a beautiful moment for me of, wow, there is something out there. There is a word for what I feel, for how I live, for what I experience, and that was so validating for me. And to have these straight men come in and invalidate these people and their sexuality and their experiences is absolutely disgusting to me. I mean, a lot of people have really taken to the idea of the spectrum. And the spectrum is basically saying, you know, this is a very oversimplified version. If straight is over here and gay is over here, here's the spectrum in between, and people can fall anywhere on this spectrum. So perhaps somebody that James Charles is interested in is, you know, closer to the straight side, but there might be a small amount of men who interest him, and so he kind of lies somewhere over here close to straight, but kind of leaning the other way. Who knows where that person actually wants to put themselves on the spectrum. This is just me trying to break it down for you guys. So I think that's a better way to look at sexuality. I don't think it's a perfect model because, I mean, just speaking from my own experience as a pansexual person, I don't see how I fall into this spectrum necessarily, because, I mean, if we're saying that this is completely gay, this is completely straight, and this right in the middle is perfectly bisexual, where it's 50-50, that doesn't necessarily apply to me. But I think that it's a much better way to look at things than so black and white. And it's a good step in the right direction of understanding that sexuality is much more fluid and much less definable than what was previously thought or previously accepted by the majority of people. So I just want to take a moment to say that I find it completely unacceptable and disgusting to claim that a man or a woman cannot be bi-curious if that is how they are choosing to identify themselves, and you don't have any right to tell anybody how they should identify or how they should label themselves. Everyone is welcome to label themselves exactly how they feel. I myself have been invalidated. I have been told that I am straight because I am in a relationship with a man, and I've spent most of my life in relationships with men. I have been told that bisexuality doesn't exist, all kinds of things, and it's truly truly disgusting. And I can only imagine, because I speak from a place of privilege as a white female who is in a straight appearing relationship. So if I am suffering in that way, that is only minor compared to so many people in the world and how invalidated they are. I'm gonna throw on some blush with this Olimar compact. I'm mixing these two colors, this pinky and this orangier one called Scorcher. And the other thing that really truly disturbs me is that these men on Twitter being so upset about these guys claiming to be bi-curious is that I can almost guarantee you that so many of these men would not have a problem if a woman came to them and said they were bisexual, and they would not tell this woman, no, if you have any thought or any experience like that, then you're a lesbian. And my best guess is that they react that way because that does not suit their narrative. It's much easier for a straight man to accept that you're bisexual, because then he still has a chance of having some ownership over you and over your sexuality. And for him, it works out great that you might be able to be interested in both a woman and in him. But when a man comes to him and tells him the same thing, how does that suit his narrative that his friend that he thought was his straight homie somehow might have some kind of inkling of being interested in someone of the same gender? That is then going to threaten him, because now, of course, oh no, could you be interested in me? How is this going to affect our friendship? That doesn't suit his narrative, and that's why he has a problem with that, and not with the woman coming to him and telling him that she's bisexual. So the double standard there is absolutely disgusting to me, a complete joke, and I want people to be aware of this problem, because it's very real, and it is taking away the validation and the power of the experience of so many people. You might not even know that somebody is having these kinds of feelings towards the same sex, toward the opposite sex, and by putting your thoughts out there and limiting your ideas of what is possible for their sexuality, you're really taking away from them something that they truly and desperately need, and that is some level of acceptance and understanding and validation. I'm gonna pop on a little highlight. This is the Anastasia Amrezy highlight, and I want to kind of move on to the last topic I want to discuss in this video. I want to touch on the idea of a cancel culture. In case you aren't familiar with that term, a lot of YouTubers who have problematic things come forward about them are then canceled by the community. And that means they have massive amounts of people unsubscribing from their channel, no longer purchasing their merchandise, getting rid of their merchandise, refusing to talk about them on their channels, promoting their products, just like ceasing all promotion of them, any kind of support that you were showing of them, that's how we're canceling them. And cancel culture has become more and more prevalent, especially over the past year in my experience. There's a huge amount of drama last year that happened with Manny MUA and Laura Lee, if you're familiar with those people. They kind of had these big scandals come forward and lost huge amounts of their following, lost huge amounts of support for their businesses. Both of them own, their own makeup brands and things like that. And this idea of cancel culture has really grown since then, and people are kind of getting canceled left and right. Another good example is Kat Von D, who has, recently stated that she didn't plan on vaccinating her child while she was pregnant. And a lot of people were discontinuing support of her because they disagreed with that. And I'm not calling anyone wrong in any of those scenarios. In fact, I don't want to touch on who I've unfollowed, who I've stopped supporting, and things like that necessarily in this video. What I want to talk about is cancel culture itself and is it the right way to deal with things? Because I feel like there's a very confusing line there, and I'm trying to work through it, and that's kind of why I just want to talk through it. And I would really love for you guys to let me know down below kind of what your thoughts are on all of this. I'm going to go and do some quick eyeshadow right now. I'm going to be using this cream shadow by ColourPop, and this is in the shade Astrology. It's a collaboration with Caitland Lights. I'm going to dot it on both eyelids and just be blending it out with my finger real quick. There are important things to consider when it comes to canceling a YouTuber. And on one hand, I think that we have to realize that we as viewers of YouTube channels are consumers, and we are monetarily supporting people when we watch their YouTube channel. I mean, of course, you sitting here watching me, I don't have on any AdSense. I don't have enough followers to be making money from YouTube. But when we're talking about these really big YouTubers like James Charles, like Jeffree Star, like Kat Von D, like Manny and Laura, these people, we are giving them our dollar just by watching their video. And we're certainly giving them our dollar by purchasing things from brands that they've started, whether that's clothing merchandise or their own makeup brand. Even just by following somebody on social media, a lot of the times that can be contributing to them financially. And we need to understand that when we truly don't align with somebody's values, we get to decide who we give our money to. And the viewers of YouTube have more power than I think some of them realize, and you need to own that power and decide who you want to support and who you want to follow. And think about where you're putting that dollar. Think about who you're viewing and why, where that money is going, and if that's something that you are morally aligned with. On the flip side of that coin, we also need to take a step back and realize that whatever side of the story we are getting, whether it be on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, whatever side of the story we are getting is a teeny, minuscule part of the truth. And it is very biased one way or the other, no matter who it is coming from. I can see all the receipts, I can see all the DMs in the world, and I still won't know the truth of what is going on between people that I follow on the internet. Guys, these are videos. You're seeing this tiny piece of me on YouTube, and if you don't know me in person, you don't know me, you don't know my life, you don't know my intentions, you don't know my heart. And you have to consider what right we have to be a juror on somebody else when we have such limited information, and that information that we receive is so heavily biased. So I think it's a very fine line between paying attention to who you want to support with your views, with your dollar, take that role seriously, and think about who you're stepping behind and what you want to feel about that. But at the same time, especially with like hate comments and bullying on the internet, you know, you do not know these people and you don't know what really happened, and you are allowed to be upset. Clearly something that happened in this, you know, kind of touched on something personal for me and something I feel really passionate about. But I can't say sitting here that James Charles is a bad person, because I don't know him. I don't know anything that truly happened. I get bits and pieces from him, from other people. I've seen pictures of messages. I've watched tons of YouTube videos because this is just something I happen to be interested in. I follow drama in the makeup community. It's just something I like. But I will never know the truth. And I'm never going to comment on what kind of a person he is. So I would really like to know how you guys feel about cancel culture, what you think about truly canceling somebody, and how you decide who you follow, how you decide whose products you buy, and what kinds of things would really stop you from supporting somebody, because I mean, it's something even I feel conflicted about. I mean, you can see behind me, I have all these, pink tops, and you've seen unboxings from Jeffree Star, and Jeffree Star has a really sordid past. Definitely a lot of things that have come to light about him. Personally, I can say that I feel that those are things that he has owned up to, that he has apologized for. Some of those things have truly been spun in ways that I think he didn't deserve. Do I think he's a perfect person? Absolutely not. And is there something weird about people supporting Jeffree so strongly, who has had, truly racist comments come up, but then they're willing to completely obliterate James Charles because maybe he kind of betrayed his friend with this vitamin stuff, and he's, saying some really inappropriate things to guys who aren't giving him what he wants or moving forward in relationships in the way that he wants. How do we weigh that? How do you decide who gets to be forgiven, who you're gonna stick behind? These are things that I'm still wondering. I don't have answers for any of this, like I said. So I wanted to talk it through. I wanted to bring up things that have been on my mind. I'm gonna pop on some mascara and lipstick, since I can't really talk while I do those things, and then I'll be right back to wrap up this video. Alright, I'm back, guys, with the last of my makeup on. Like I said, I just threw on some mascara and a lip. This lipstick is called Poppy. It's by Becca. I just wanted to do something really bright and fun and summery to kind of go with my vibe today. But I really appreciate you guys being here, seriously, more than any other video I've ever posted. I know this was just kind of random and maybe a little heavy, but I feel less motivated to talk about makeup right now and more motivated to talk about what's going on around me. And if people are gonna sit here and watch me, sure, I'm happy to show you what I do with my makeup, but there are some things that I feel are really important to address right now. And I plan on continuing to use this channel to kind of do that, and I hope you guys are on board. Thank you also for sticking around. I know I've been gone for many months, so if you're here watching this, I appreciate that you're still here. You are a real one. If you guys do like this kind of video, please like it, and if you aren't already, please subscribe to my channel so you can see more content from me. And it would be so awesome to me if this video could start a conversation down below in the comments about any of the issues that I brought up today. And let me just say this, if you disagree with me, then please educate me. If you have something to say that you think is differing from my opinion, I would like to hear it. As long as you are willing to be respectful, then please leave your views down below and let's have a conversation about it. I want to learn. And a lot of what I said was, I don't know. Tell me what you think. So let me know, you guys. And thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so very much. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.